ASPxSiteMap control can be bound to data using the standard ASP.NET Sitemap data source provider, as well as the DevExpress ASPxSiteMap data source control. The latter builds on top of the standard data source provider and provides advanced data binding capabilities. However, in this video, you'll learn how to bind the sitemap control to data using the standard sitemap data source provider. So let's get started. I'll start with a new ASP.NET application. From the toolbox, I'll drag and drop a new ASPxSiteMap control onto the page. Let's take a look at the sitemap file, which I've created and copied to the Web Applications App Data folder. This is a standard sitemap file that is essentially an XML file using a special node naming scheme. Each item is listed as a sitemap node, with the corresponding attributes to display the item as a link. The hierarchical levels of these items are determined from the way the nodes are encapsulated within each other. I switch back to the ASP.NET page. To use this sitemap data source, I'll need to add a new provider to the application's web.config file. From the Solution Explorer, I double-click to open the file. Then I scroll down to the system.web section. Here, I add the code to create a new standard sitemap provider. I give it a custom name, which I'll be using later to reference the sitemap. The type is, of course, the standard XML sitemap provider from the system.web namespace. Finally, the location of the file is specified using the sitemap file attribute. Back on the ASP.NET page, I select the sitemap control and open its Smart Tag. I click on the new data source item to invoke the data source configuration wizard. I'll select sitemap as the data source type and click OK to complete the wizard. You can see that a new sitemap data source control has been created on this page. I select the data source control and set its sitemap provider property equal to the name of the provider which I added to the web.config file earlier. This will use my sitemap file to populate the sitemap control at runtime. Since I have only one master category in my XML file, I'll disable the Show Starting Node property of the data source. If we look at the sitemap file now, this would be the first node that has the title USA. Next, I'll open the sitemap control Smart Tag again and set the column count to 3, so the items are evenly distributed and displayed in 3 columns. And I'm done. I run the application to see the results. You'll see that the sitemap control has been created and populated using the content retrieved from the data source. All the items are displayed in 3 columns. I can click on a link and I'm redirected to the URL specified for that specific item. In an upcoming video, we'll also look at how to populate the sitemap control using the ASPxSiteMap data source component from DevExpress. Thanks for watching and thank you for choosing DevExpress.